If you had $1 million today, how would you manage it?
Save and then tithe and then business. But I would really want to get into a business, but I don't know. I just don't want to get into a business that's like
That
you're
you're
not,
not
not
passionate in?
passionate about.
Mhm.
That's the thing. I want to get into a business that I'm passionate about and I'm interested about to grow. And then, of course, take care of my mama, get get mama a house, and pay debts.
And then the rest of it, put it in your bed and lay in it.
We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now.
Oh, I also have one more thing about Meg, just to add. So Meg and I used to be enemies, or
Finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. Welcome to another episode of All Abroad Podcast. And we already got started singing for you. By the way, if you guys are listening and you are on Kumu, please make sure you follow us at All Abroad Podcast, because we do stream every other Tuesday. And we talk about really anything. Sometimes our episode recaps of our episode, and then we sing, because I feel like everyone sings on Kumu, but we're trying to figure out a game that we're going to play, and pretty soon we're going to host it on the Kumu USA platform. So watch out for that. And today's episode, we want to talk about money. Money. Yeah, so today we are going to talk about money because it's very important. We are what they call geriatric millennial, the
Yes.
older millennials. The oldest millennial right now is 41, but we are 39. I'm just gonna say it. So we're still in the millennial. So anyone that's born between 1981 or from 1981 to 1996 are anywhere between 25 years old to 41 years old, and we are considered the millennials, aka Generation Y.
why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near?
Thank you for that little breakout session. And I know Meg's like, I can't with you
Meg,
guys.
you could have been here right next to Sweeney.
I know,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
chose to be home as an introvert. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Watch that episode, the previous one.
But yeah, watch the previous episode where Meg talked about her being an introvert. We have to cross promote these episodes. So the millennials are widely known as the first connected generation due to their savvy use of the internet. This is savvy right here, guys. By the way, we are savvy because you know what? Kat teaches piano online. That's savvy enough. At about 80 million people, millennials account for around 1/5 of the population of the United States, making them the largest living generation. But anyway, we're going to talk about money as millennials because in addition to being millennials, all of us here were also immigrants. We are considered first generation, right? Because we came from the Philippines. Because second generation would be...
Second generation because our parents came first.
No, second generation, I thought, was if you were born and raised here, you're a second generation.
Yeah. Second generation.
So we're first generation. I had that understanding too at first, and then I think I corrected myself when I read something like, oh no, we're first generation because we came from the motherland.
Correct. Yeah.
And then so I think that makes a difference sometimes too with the way we see money. So my first question to everyone actually is, what was your first memory or first, at least for now, like what, if you think back, like how did you see money growing up as a child? And I can start because I thought of this question because I wrote it. As a kid, actually, I was never the type of kid that asked my parents for money so much. I was around other people where they're like, if the parents are like playing mahjong, or something, you're like, hey, can I have 10 pesos? I'm gonna go to the changi or the store to go get some snacks. Or I was never that type. Like I relied heavily on what was already given to me as my allowance, and I never really asked for more unless it was like school related. So I think I was pretty responsible as a young child, younger than when I started being really responsible for the household money. But even younger than that, I felt like I respected money. So, what were your early memories of money?
I feel like early memories would just be my parents talking about how they couldn't afford to live there in the Philippines, so they had to move out here to the States. I think that's the earliest memory, is that like we didn't have a lot, so parents had to leave so that they could send us money.
Money makes the world go around, man. What about you, Meg? What were your early memories of money, or just what did you think?
I have a funny story. When I was in nursery or kindergarten, that was like my first experience. My aunt, the sister of my dad, was a doctor, and she visited us in Manila from Bacolod, and she gave me like 100 pesos gift. And then when I went to school, I bought like a plastic watch, and then I just paid, I guess, the person without getting the change. And when I got home, I got in trouble. And then I remember my mom got mad at me because I didn't probably get the change or something. So when you asked me about first experience with money, that just
You
came
gave it
to
all
my
away.
head. Yeah, that just came to my head. Like I remember that
Moment.
I was in kinder or nursery, like
Yeah.
buying a watch and giving the 100 pesos is like big when we were
Yeah.
like 1989, and I didn't get the change. So
Yeah, I mean,
that was that.
That was the plastic watch. What, like maybe
Yeah,
20 pesos?
probably like what, 10, not $10, but plastic watch like probably one peso. I don't know. It was like 1980, 1989. So that was a lot. That's like probably 500 pesos
now
during
with
that
inflation.
time.
Wow, that vendor's like, oh my god, jackpot.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that was my first
The
experience.
vendor was probably like, wow. The vendor probably took that 100 pesos home and like was very thankful for it and like considered it a blessing for their entire family. So hey, looking back.
But I remember the next day after, I think my mom went to the school and hunted down the vendor.
Did she find?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I just remember that she went to the school and looked for the vendor.
Man, moms are like like mama lions. Like they're gonna protect their cubs for sure. And then so I wanted to ask, speaking of your mom or our parents in general, how do you think have your parents or your upbringing in general influence your money habits? Like if those influences are still apparent now in your life?
I think that my parents always valued money as something that you should save, because it does give you some sort of security if you have savings. And I think that my parents really did well on showing me that I can also save my money, and that's how they influenced me. So for me, saving is not an issue. Like I can do it, so that's a good thing.
What about you, Meg?
Growing up, like they did not know how to learn how to save. I did not learn my spending habits from her. I learned it on my own when I went to college in Manila and living on my own and having given the money, like the allowance, the money that I need to pay. And then from there, like I learned, and I've learned how to save and be mindful with my spending. Like even now, like I write down all of my expenses on my journal, every single thing that I spend. Like end of the month, I like add in like this is for transportation. This is for like I'm that anal on that area.
Wow, that's crazy. That's amazing and crazy. A crazy. For me, amazing. For me, my parents were polar opposites. So my dad was like saving. Also, there are two different generations. My mom is Gen X, and my dad is what's older than Gen X. My dad was way older.
They are
Boomers.
boomers, yes.
Yeah. So my dad was always like save for the rainy day, save every time my dad, because my dad was already in the States even before, I think before I was born. So when he comes home for like 2-3 months at a time, like I would see him like with stack of like money, because they exchange the dollars for pesos. And then my mom's the type, she is good at managing her money, but she is also a spender. So she's the type that would buy new curtains. My dad would be like, why do we need new curtains, and even until now, my mom even buys more branded stuff than I do, and I just take or borrow hers. So I get the polar opposite, so I can save too, like Kat says, and then I can also spend. What is that laugh? It's not a laugh. My next question for everyone is, how do you, and this might be similar for everyone, but how do you define what wealthy is or what being rich is? And I'll start with Kat.
I think for me, being rich is really being whole from the inside out, if that makes sense. Like if you are completely like not comparing yourself to someone else in to a point where you have to compensate by buying so much things because, or paying for, not just buying, but like paying for, not buying material things, but paying for experiences. Like I'm going to pay for this vacation because, I saw that someone went on a vacation and now I want to have that kind of vacation, Like I think that if you can live your life where you are truly happy from the inside out and you're not like constantly looking at what other people have and how other people live their life, like with experiences and all these things, and you can just be like, I'm okay with, my life. I think that's really what rich is to me. Yeah.
What about you, Meg?
About it. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Meg? How do you define rich or wealthy?
Rich or wealthy, like they have the financial means to live a comfortable life that is not just normally comfortable, but extremely comfortable. For example, my cousin that can live 6 months summertime in Spain. When it's winter, they can live 6 months in the Caribbean. It's like that kind of wealth. That someone that I know that's like really, really that well off and that they don't need, like money is not an issue to them.
Right. Well, what do they do?
The partner is, he had his business before and he's retired and he doesn't work anymore.
Wow, that's
and
wealthy.
then they travel, not regular airlines. They travel in a private jet.
Wow.
So that's wealthy. That from from what in my world with the people that I know.
Yeah, for me, I define rich and wealthy where you can do whatever you want anytime you want. But I guess that's freedom, right? Financial freedom. It's like if I have a full-time job, fine, but if I want to take a break, I'm fine too. If I want to quit, I'm fine too. A lot of us can't quit. A lot of us can't just do whatever we want at whatever time. We have, well, Kat works for herself, but like, we have a 2-week vacation. I mean, I think being wealthy to me is just someone who has more than enough for themselves to be comfortable and also be able to bless the people around them. I feel like that's, I want to, I like that. I like being like that. And so I guess I want to ask everyone else, how would you describe your relationship with money then versus now? Like, have you seen a great change between how you, even if it's just 10 years ago, or maybe all the way from when you were a teenager or something? How do you describe your relationship with money then versus now? Has there been any improvements, any changes, any beliefs or habits that you had to break when it comes to money? Go, Meg.
I have, that's me. That's very me. I have this story from my mom that when I would come and visit her during summertime in the Philippines, and I would come here, I would be like, Mom, buy me this, buy me that, buy me. And then when I would send her letters when we were in the Philippines, like tugons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Tugons
then-
is
Like a list.
Like my wants, my want,
yeah,
my want
want
list.
list.
Yeah.
Wish
Yeah.
list.
Wish list. And then I would like cut off from like magazines. So I want this. Ma, buy me this, buy me that. And my mom was like kind of scared, like, oh my God, what if she will be like this when she grows up, like spender and just like, I want this, I want that. She was scared of me being like that when I grew up. But eventually she got like, she was surprised that I ended up not being like that and being like mindful, and she's like impressed with my like say that I save and all that. So it has changed from when we were kids, that of course we just studied and had allowance and all that we didn't work for, and has changed now that like saving and
more responsible.
yes,
obviously.
exactly.
Yeah. What about you, Kat?
I must say, this is why I love doing this podcast, because I learn a lot about us while we're doing it. Just stories that we don't, always like share. It's kind of cool. I love it. I think back in the day when I was like younger, I was afraid of losing money. Like I was always afraid of losing money because it was always ingrained in me that we didn't have a lot, and that's why my parents had to leave, and we just didn't have a lot. So whatever you had to hold on to it. So you got to save, 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 save. And I still save now. Like I'm still very much like an avid saver. But I think what has changed is that I am a lot more okay with like if I'm a lot more okay with taking risks. I'm a lot more okay with like letting it go if it has to be let go, like I'm not I'm not holding on to it as much anymore. But I think a lot of that had to do with just like my relationship with God. I think like with my faith, like understanding that, like really believing that I'm going to be taken care of no matter what, like just really having that truth and that faith that God said he's going to take care of everything. And he said himself, like, even the birds of the air, even the flowers know how to bloom. Like the nature is taken care of. So how much more us who are his children, like why wouldn't we be taken care of? Right. So I think coming from that really belief system makes me be okay with letting go of money.
I also want to add for Kat too. I notice about her that she's super open to paying for something like coaching, because I've witnessed her. She's more open than I am actually paying lots of money for coaching. But talk to us about that. Like what makes you open to paying for something like that? And they're not small ticket coaching items. What makes you open to that?
Oh my
How does Lee
gosh.
feel about that?
Can I? Oh, how does Lee? If Lee is like 100% go, 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 go. He's like, if it's going to make you better, if you think you're going to learn from it, if you're going to get value out of it, like, why not? Here's the thing. We paid for school, right? Or our parents paid for our school. Right. But I feel like our school for us was valuable, right? Education is valuable. It's very important. But a lot of the things we learned in school are not really the things that we needed to learn in life, if that makes sense. I mean, we learned a lot, I'm sure, but like I'm saying, like even financial literacy and like emotional health, mental health, sex education, all these things, right? Like things like that we didn't really learn at school. We learn it just through doing life, right? But then as an adult, I think there's certain things like entrepreneurship, business that sure you can go back to school for it, but there's actually companies out there that really zero in right away into like the nitty gritty of things. It's not like book knowledge, but it's like knowledge that you can take right now and apply right away, like real life experiences that you can do. So when it comes to that, like I'm happy to engage and pay for these things because, as Sweeney said, they're not high ticket, they're not like low ticket items. They're expensive coaching packages, but the best investment you can make is for to yourself, because if you better yourself, you can better serve other people, you can better show up for other people in all the situation that you enter in. So I think that investing in yourself is a great way to spend your money.
I love that. I love that. Now, and I'm actually open to it too. Not as open as her. I'm very picky on like what I pay for. Not that she's not, but I haven't spent like, for instance, I've been thinking about signing up for someone speaking coaches, because I'm like, I do speak or whatever, but which one of these can actually help me? Or like, for example, Jay Shetty has one. I'm like, but does he actually show up for me, or is he too big to so like all those things I look for. But for me, my relationship with money then versus now, I love what Kat said about God, your relationship with God, because I think through my life, and I've been to a point where I had so much debt, not all mine, but anyway, different story. But what I've learned with how God got me and basically is like, he always sends me enough. I've actually never been in a place of my life where he sends me more than I need. He always just sends me enough. Like I've been unemployed before, and it was like during the recession, and it was like, oh, your employment benefits are about to end, but it always get extended. I'm like, oh, thank God, because it was hard to find a job at that time. And then when I'm down and out, I've never been in a place where I have to ask my mom for money. Like, I don't know, I'm the type that before I ask my mom, I'm just gonna open a credit card and I'm just gonna figure out by myself how to pay it off later. But my relationship with money then versus now, I think now where I am in my life, I think God is starting to give me more than I need, and I'm trying to really be smart about how I invest it and how I save it. And I just mentioned earlier, I signed up for like a trading course and class so I can I can double it. I can, make it grow versus just letting it sit in a savings. Recently I was ready to buy a home, but it's ridiculous right now. So I thought I'd wait a little, and while I'm waiting, maybe I'll find some things that will help me grow my money a little bit more. So I think and I actually posted this on my Instagram earlier, but I think when you are tight with money, you're not open to taking risks, right? Because you have this much. Then when you breathe a little and you have a little, you start buying stuff you couldn't afford. And then when you have even more than that, it's when you actually start investing in yourself. But it's opposite. I think like you need to start investing in yourself no matter what, but it's hard. It's hard to be in that mind frame when you have tight budget. So I mean, those are my thoughts about money.
I looked something up because when you said that God has always like given you just enough, right? It's really funny. It's like a verse in Proverbs in the Bible. It says it's in Proverbs, and it says Proverbs 30. It says, "Give me neither undue poverty nor undue wealth, but rather feed my soul with the measure of prosperity that pleases you. May my satisfaction be found in you. Don't let me be so rich that I don't need you, or so poor that I have to resort to dishonesty just to make ends meet. Then my life will never detract from bringing glory to your name." I just love that you said that, because it just made me remind of this verse that it's like, yeah, totally.
I love that actually. I feel like God's blessing me with a little bit more now that I'm trying to be responsible with it.
I feel like that's the thing. It's like I heard Lewis House say this in the School of Greatness podcast, is that when he was like so poor and he was living in his sister's couch, that like he was like his coach was telling him that like when you're ready for money, money will come to you. And he's like, I'm feeling really ready right now. Like I'm living in my sister's couch. I'm feeling really ready right now. But then if you're not ready to receive it because you are actually not responsible enough to receive it, it's not going to come to you. It's like the universe almost like knows, because it needs to protect you from like giving you too much because you're not ready for it right now.
Yes. Imagine if I had if I had a lot of money at the time when I was dating that guy,
Mhm.
it'll probably all go to him.
Probably.
Right? Yeah, not all, but you know what I mean. Majority of it. But yes, so that's right. I love that. Um, right now in this day and age, what money trends do you wish you feel more confident in? I mean, I'll start because I already said it. Like, I wish I was more comfortable in like cryptos and stuff like that. But I started thinking that that's a hoax. And now I see Bitcoin is like, what, $40,000? There was a meme that said something like, I'm making up the years because I don't remember the meme. Something like 10 years ago, if you bought an Air Jordan, which is like 100 something, it would be this much now in Bitcoin. It makes you just think and feel bad for the things that you spend materialistically when you could have invested in something. And I know cryptos and NFTs and all that seems sometimes probably like over a lot of people's heads, but that's and mine too actually, but that's why I've invested in a course to help me understand it more so I can get in the game. That's how I feel. Like, let me get in the game.
Yeah.
So what about you, Kat?
I think probably the same as you, because I feel really comfortable with other things, like things that are more tangible, like real estate. I really understand that aspect of things. Stocks, I'm not very well versed on, but I definitely understand the concept of like stocks, right? But like NFT and like crypto are those things that I have a hard time wrapping my mind around, but I know that it's a real thing, and I know that it's probably a good thing to look into. But because I just really don't have the capacity to like look into that, my I default, not I default, because I don't have the capacity to look into that, then my resolve for myself is to make sure that my business is growing, and that to make sure that I'm actually really making the steps necessary for my business to grow into a 7-figure business, so that I can have the money to just, I don't need to learn it. I'll just find someone that I'll trust and I'll give it to them. Yeah.
Yeah, like invest my money. Here you go. Do you know Sharon? Yeah. Do you know her? Yeah. She reached out to me and she was like, yes, I have like the screenshot. So Sharon, I'm not kidding you. She said she reached out to me, but it wasn't a sales pitch thing. She commented on something I did, and it was like her legit page, because she's not really into Instagram as much. So like she's not like a verified person or whatever. But she reached out to me and she said, do you I know I invested my money in I think like cryptocurrencies and this person, whatever. She said, if you're interested, I'd like to connect you with that person. I was just like, Sharon Lecter is in my DM. I don't know. I'm fangirling. Isn't it right? But I never looked into it because I wasn't comfortable. But now that I'm into it, I'll probably like look back and like, sorry, I never got back to you, but I want to look into it now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what about you, Meg? What are some money trends that you wish you were more confident in?
Just stocks, investment in stocks. Like, I want to learn more about it. I'm not there in your crypto yet. Just like the stocks first. Like, how do I know you told me about the Robinhood and all that, but I don't know how to go about it. I would like to learn more, like which stock to invest on. Like, yeah, that one.
To be more confident in that. Yeah, I mean, Meg, I'm here. We go boxing. Let me know. I can always show you. I mean, I think sometimes for crypto, I get nervous because it's so like foreign to me, but the stocks isn't as, because it's more tangible than the crypto, So with the stocks, like, I just started with like, let me just at least play with I feel like stocks are like gambling. It really is, because you don't really know if it's going to go up or down. So let's say you just start with $100, just to so how to, and then invest in like the penny stocks, so and then it's all about like reading the news, seeing how the company, what the company is doing, how it's doing, then you, from that, you use your intuition. Oh, it might go up, so let me invest in it, or it might go down because they're about to have some drama, things like that. So I mean, a little tidbit from me. But well, during actually, my mom was the one that got me on Robinhood. She's like, no, you do invest in stock. My mom is more, she likes mahjong. So needless to say, she likes to gamble. So she loves stock trading. So funny. It starts with mahjong, you guys.
Need to send money to the Philippines? We've got just the app for you. Download the SendWave app now, available on Google Play or Apple Store. You can send money to your loved ones in the Philippines without paying any fees. The recipient will receive their money through their GCash, any major bank accounts, or to any partnered cash pickup locations. The money transfer is sent quickly within minutes and bank transfers within 1 to 5 hours. That's fast. Download the app today, sign up, and select the Philippines flag. When prompted, enter the promo code ALLABROAD in one word to receive a bonus of $10 or close to 500 pesos. If you forget to enter the code in the beginning, you can still do it on the upper right-hand side of the app by clicking on the person icon and finding the promo code field. Remember, the code is all abroad.
Let's see. I have two more questions actually. One of them is, if you had $1 million today, how would you manage it?
Wow. Wow, that's a pretty good question. Number one, I would invest in my business because I believe in it fully.
How much of it? Meg, start thinking.
Dang. So is this $1 million just given to me as a gift? Okay. Well, I guess
No tax.
okay. 10% of it I would save because that's what I do with all of my money. 10% of it I would tithe because that's what I would do with my money. So 80% of it is left to me. So if 80% is left to me, probably I would probably want to put 20% to my business. I would probably take 20% and buy my parents a home. I would probably buy the compound that I've always wanted, where we can all live in the same compound and live together in separate houses, but in the same land. And then the remaining 40%, I would invest. That's what I would do.
I love it. What about you, Meg?
Kind of like the same with her. Save and then tithe and then business. But I would really want to get into a business, but I don't know. I just don't want to get into a business that's like
That
you're,
you're not passionate in?
about. That's the thing. I want to get into a business that I'm passionate about and I'm interested about to grow. And then, of course, take care of my mama, get mama a house, and pay debts.
And then the rest of it, put it in your bed and lay in it.
No, some of it, of course, travel, and then buy a house in Spain.
Ooh.
My retirement house,
Where in Spain? Where in Spain?
Barcelona.
like Valencia area, like Costa del
May City Heights.
Sol.
Can you explain City Heights to our
So City Heights is just a neighborhood from our childhood place in Bacolod. So I just brought her dream all the way back down to Bacolod City. So the Valencia, it sounds like one of those places from Bacolod.
Valencia.
Valencia, may silay.
Valencia.
I love it, Meg. We're gonna come visit. If I had $1 million,
You were going to ask a question.
thank you. I was gonna ask a question. Do you guys tithe religiously?
Yes.
Meg,
Yeah.
were you frozen?
Per month, it depends. Like my paycheck.
I need to do.
First-
That's why I need to do better. Speaking of that, Proverbs.
No, because the first paycheck of the month is like my bills, all the bills, and then the second one, middle of the month, then I tithe. Not
Speaking-
as religiously as Kat, but I do.
Do you do like just 10% just goes to tithing? Wow, I love it. I need to do better. Well, speaking of Easter's tomorrow, it's a good time to start.
Though to say about that, I think that it has to, like, if you are really convinced about it, like if it's a value that you hold strong, go for it. But if it's a value that you don't hold strong, like, you don't do it because you don't believe in it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how I think about it. But I do believe that there's really something about like giving back whether that's a charity or giving back to your home church or whatever that is. Like I do believe in giving back to some degree. Yeah.
So because how I feel about it, and viewers, listeners, you guys chime in. How I feel about it. Well, number one, I do give a lot to charity. Whether a lot of times it's my time, which is probably more than 10%. But when lately, especially after COVID, I haven't really been back to church like I kind of used to go. But when I did go, and when you feel connected to a church, and you go to a church, and of course you go to the service, and you get something out of it, I think in that process, it feels not easier. I don't know but it feels more organic to tithe when I'm going, because I'm giving back and I'm getting something out of it, and I see my church using the money, blah blah blah, whatever. But since I've been gone, I have not.
It's totally. Actually, I think statistically, churches have had lower tithe because of COVID, because people haven't been going. Yeah,
and that's how I feel. And I actually still haven't set foot to I've been doing online church still, but sometimes. Confession. Anyway, and my last question for everyone is that what money tips do you have for our viewers is what we'll close out with, because people that are listening right now could be in any levels and any phase and any part of their lives right now, and any tips that we could give them about money that we've learned from our lives, and maybe we have already said it, but anything that we can share with them, a tip or two. Yeah. Kat?
Sure. So this is for the viewers that you guys have already your savings. You guys know how to budget. You guys know how to, you have enough for like all your bills and everything to live off of, right? And you're taking care of your debt. You're either taking care of it currently or you're already past your debt, right? I feel like the next thing that's really, really important, and people don't like to talk about this because it's a topic that people run away from, is life insurance. Because who wants to talk about life insurance, right? It's talking about like, oh, by the way, you have to purchase this because when you die, you should leave other people some money, right? But there's so many different kinds of life insurances. And one of the ones that we personally have that I think is amazing, it's an amazing product, is that you get to, it gets invested. Well, it's a whole life insurance that basically gets invested and grows in dividends every single year. That is completely guaranteed dividend every single year. And while you're alive, you can actually pull money from it. But while you're pulling money from it, your money is still growing at the same as if you never pulled money from it.
Is that what they call the term?
That's a whole life insurance. So I'm not gonna go into the details of it, but basically it's kind of like acting like you're your own bank, and it's pretty amazing because the reason why I say that is because Lee's dad passed away February of 2020, and he was working for a company for many, many years as a truck driver, and he had a pension with that company. But because him and his wife got divorced, but it never really got settled with the company, we didn't get a single dime out of that pension. Not a single time. I think it was close to 40,000. I think something like that. If I'm not mistaken, maybe that's not a lot for some people. Maybe that's a lot for other people. It doesn't matter how much it is. The point is that he worked there for many years, and this money was hard-earned money that he earned in his waking hours, right? And then now that money just didn't go to anyone, not to his wife, not to Lee, not to his brother. His brother, Mikey, could have used that because he's got 5 kids. You know what I mean? Like none of that went anywhere. But had he also had another sort of insurance, like a life insurance on top of that, at least it would have been left us with something, because we had to take care. I mean, when people die, there's a lot of costs that happens when people die, right? Funeral costs and all these things like cremation and all that stuff. So we had to pay for that out of our own pocket, but there's no life insurance. So I think it's really important to cover your loved ones, because when you pass away, they're going to be the ones that are going to take care of you passing away. So it's good to take care of them.
I love it. What about you, Meg? Any money tips from what you've learned so far in life? And I know we've experienced enough to be able to give tips. What are your tips, Meg?
The rule of 10 10 1080. The rule of 1080.
20
The
or
10
80 80 or 80 20.
28
Yeah.
2080. Yeah, the rule of 2080. I think I'm not sure, but what I'm doing is that 10% the tithe, and then 10% of paying back to myself for savings, and then 80% there.
live off of 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good, because a lot of people don't even do that. 100% goes to their Louis Vuitton bag. No, I'm just kidding.
105.
105%, because plus more that you don't own. I think for me is because you guys said so the great things already. Diversify. I think that if you look at retirement or you look at life insurance or just your income alone, like I'm a big proponent of diversifying. Like I don't only have one income from my job, I have income from other things. I don't only have 401k, I also have savings, I also have IRA, and I also have investment, then I also have life insurance. So I mean, I'm trying to cover all things because I don't want to put my egg in one basket. And it's the same with trading too. Once you go, Meg, into more trading, like you can trade in the stocks, but you can also trade in, like, there's options, there's cryptocurrency, like with whatever you're doing with your money, just try and evaluate if you're putting it all in one all your eggs in one basket, and see if you can diversify in any way. Then do that. I think that's my tip for money. Yes, just like I can always count on these girls to be on time for anything dancing and singing or singing, whatever. But you guys, that's remember that, Meg? I'm just kidding. But you guys, if you guys are on Kumu, make sure that you guys check us out. We are on there every other Tuesday. Also, please make sure that you like and subscribe to this episode. If you have other money tips as well that you want to share, please comment down below, low down there. Yeah, and we wanted to do this episode because I feel like we are at a time where there's a lot of questions about money. There's a lot of arguments about money. There's a lot of
It's tax season.
and it's tax season, and there's a lot of insecurity about money. Inflation is at an all-time high. House market in California is bananas, and I think everywhere else too. And I just think that everyone is looking for different ways to make money. And a lot of people just want to quit their jobs and do their own thing, or trade daily. I don't know, whatever it is that people want to do. I feel like corporate America is losing its grip on Americans. I fortunately like to have both, like to have my corporate America and like to have all my hustles. And just like, I don't know if you guys follow Jim Rohn's thing, but until you make so much more on your side hustles, you got to be smart and keep that job. Or not, if you a lot of people will say, bet on yourself and just go full time. We all feel differently. We all have our different views, basically. So we just wanted to do this episode to open up conversation about money, and hopefully one of the things we said could help you, or is making you think differently, or making you consider other ideas about money. So that's it, because we're your besties. We're not in our jammies right now, but we're your besties. And we want the best for you guys. We created this podcast. We created this podcast to spread information and awareness about our culture, but we also have this great dream to, of course, make a difference in the lives of people that watch and tune in. So hopefully we did that. So thank you, and see you on the next episode of
All Abroad Podcast.
All Abroad Podcast. Oh my God, let's do it again. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of
All Abroad Podcast.
We are